In this video I will be demonstrating this wirework sword pendant. In the sword hilt I will be setting a small faceted pointed back crystal. I start with two 6-inch lengths of 18 gauge wire. Make a sharp bend in the middle of the wire. I am switching to my wide flat nose pliers to bend the other wire. Start by bending the wire at the middle. Use the pliers width to add some shape to the sword point. Bend the wire until the space is the right size for the first wire to sit inside. Take your weaving wire. I am using 30 gauge, but you can use a slightly thicker weaving wire if you prefer. Find the middle of the weaving wire. Take the first bent wire and start wrapping from the centre of the bend. Take 1/2 of the weaving wire and wrap 6 times around one side of the bend. Turn the wire around and repeat with the other half of the weaving wire. Place the wire into position inside the other wire. Wrap the wires as two separate pairs containing one outer wire and one inner wire. Wrap twice around both wires. Wrap twice around just the inner wire. Repeat this weaving pattern. Flip the wires over and weave the wires on the other side. Continue the weaving pattern on both sides. I have woven up to 1.25 inches from the sewed point. Take either of the weaving wires and wrap twice around the two inner wires. Continue to wrap the pairs separately. Wrap twice around both wires, then wrap twice around just the inner wire. Bend the outer wires to a 90-degree angle. These wires will form the crossguard. Measure 3/4 inch from the middle of the wires. Cut the wires at these marks. I am using the smallest setting on my bale making pliers to bend the wires in an upwards facing loop. Take the first weaving wire. Wrap twice around both wires and then twice around the outer wire on that side. Take the other weaving wire, wrap twice around both wires and then twice around the outer wire on that side. Repeat this pattern until the weaving is level with the top of the loops. Bend both wires outwards. The second setting on my bale pliers is slightly smaller than the diameter of my stone. I will use this to make a loop for the stone to sit in. Place the pliers between the wires and shape them around. I am marking the wires where they cross. Bend the wires upwards at the marks. This side is slightly out, so I am rebending it. The crystal should sit on top of the loop without falling through. Wrap the weaving wires around the loop. Wrap the weaving wire twice around both wires to close the loop. Wrap the weaving wire once around each wire, ending with the weaving wire between the two wires. Remove the excess weaving wire. I have two 8-inch lengths of 20 gauge wire. Take another length of weaving wire and find the middle. Wrap the wires together using the same 2-2 weaving pattern as previously. Start wrapping from the middle of the wires. Rotate the wires as you weave to keep the weave centralised. Weave for 1/2 inch. Hold the new wires with the woven area centralised below the crossguard. Bend the wires on either side of the blade wire. Bend the unwoven parts of the wires 90 degrees. Wrap the wires around the sword blade below the crossguard bring the unwoven wires together. Take the weaving wire and wrap it twice around the crossguard and the nearest pair of wires. Wrap twice around the pair of 20 gauge wires. Repeat on the other side. Take one of the weaving wires and wrap it around both of the inner wires. Continue weaving the pairs separately. Bend the woven wires to follow the loop below. I admit I am really bad at symmetrical designs, but try your best to get both sides even. If necessary, extend the weaving to where the wires meet. Place the crystal into position. Take one of the weaving wires and wrap it twice around the two inner wires. Take the weaving wire and wrap it twice around both the 20 gauge wires and both the 18 gauge wires underneath. Wrap the same weaving wire around the inner of the 20 gauge and the nearest of the 18 gauge wires. Take the other weaving wire and wrap twice around both the 20 gauge and both the 18 gauge wires. Wrap twice around the inner 20 gauge wire and the nearest 18 gauge wire. Continue wrapping the two pairs of 20 gauge wires separately. Check that the stone is fully secured in its setting and centralised to the surrounding woven wires. I know my symmetry isn't perfect, but you get the idea. Give your crystal a wiggle and a push from the back to make sure that it doesn't move. Extend the weaving on the pairs of 20 gauge wires. I have woven for 1/4 inch. Bend the woven wires to the back and going downwards, angling inwards to meet in the middle. Once again, try to keep the design even on both sides, and once again I am failing slightly. If necessary, extend the weaving to the point where all the wires meet. Where the wires touch, use one of the weaving wires to wrap twice around both the inner wires. Continue to wrap the pairs separately. Weave until just before meeting the crossguard. Finish with the weaving wires going between the wires to the back of the weave and remove the excess. Take the inner wires and wrap them tightly around the cross guards up to the loops. Cut off the excess and pinch the cut ends well down so that they can't be felt. The remaining wires are trimmed short just below the woven wires crossing the back of the blade. Bend the cut ends into small inward facing loops. Make sure that the ends are pushed well down and can't be felt. To complete the pendant, we need to form the bale. Measure 1/2 inch and cut the wires. I am using the second setting on my bale pliers to make loops in both wires. Slightly bend the loops forward. Thank you for viewing. Please join me for my next video.